You might have to turn your sound up just a little bit right here.
Hello, Darwin Amy. Salami, I keep coming up with all battle raps and they're just pouring out of me that Wu-Tang stuff, like, but really neat, very beautifully alliterated little battle raps. So next time you want to come for me and have a battle rap off, I'm going to kill you because I'm a samurai. And why you ask yourself, is she drunk, is she high, has she been out, what's she been doing? Yeah, I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up in the head. But I keep coming out with all this stuff all the time. All these lyrics and I don't know why. But I realise it's for the next album. So come on, Sensei. Just do this. Love you. Bye.
I would have never believed it. I would have never believed it.
Me.
When I finished the reaction, however, it's been a little while. I'm a little behind the curve on this one. You guys saw, those of you who watched the reaction, you guys saw right now, I was clicking on annotations and who's this Amy person that they're talking about? And then why, towards the end, it's like, why are people mentioning Amy Winehouse? I finished up the reaction, and I think because I had watched the music videos during the reaction for Patreon, my feed then showed me that, hey, there's Professor Sky. Oh, he's got a video about Samurai. So I immediately sat down and started watching that. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but I watched probably the first 10, 15 minutes. And I was like, okay, thank God. I was so relieved and so happy when Professor Sky, like 5 minutes in, is talking about how it's the cliche record scratch. What? When you find out this album is about Amy Winehouse. I was so glad he also was completely caught off guard by that. Even almost seems like more so. Because I'm like, okay, I'm not a complete idiot. I'm dumb, but I'm not like completely dumb, right? Unbelievable. Samurai is an album by Lupe Fiasco, who is channeling his version of Amy Winehouse doing what she would do if she had made a hip-hop album. It's incredible. It's really incredible. Let's punch through some of like the administrative stuff, right? Because I really kind of want to just ramble about this a bit. Favorite tracks, and shout out to Professor Sky. Great dude, great channel, amazing video as always. Professor Sky, well done to you, sir. Favorite tracks for me, Palaces is probably my favorite. Number One Headband's amazing. I like Samurai as well. Till Eternity is great. I like Bigfoot. I mean, the whole album's cool. I like that it's 8 tracks, 30 minutes. You just drop in, you drop out. And one thing Professor Sky also mentioned too was he was talking. I think he was talking to his wife or somebody. I remember somebody. He mentioned somebody, and like ran it by that person of, hey, like, do you hear Amy Winehouse in this? And the other person was like, oh yeah, the whole thing. And so I had to like take a step back and reset and listen to it. And I think that's why. I think it's Palaces where he starts out, all I really want is a little da 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 da, like the jazz intro part. I think that one's Palaces. I can't remember. I listen to so much music, it's hard to keep them all straight. I don't have everything. I don't have anything memorized anymore these days. First, I have one more note, and then I'm just gonna ramble. At first, I thought, well, maybe the whole album isn't like Amy Winehouse. Maybe because of this voicemail thing, and I haven't seen the documentary, but at the end of track 2, at the end of Mumble Rap, there's like a cell phone alarm that's going on. I thought it was a phone call, but other people said it was an alarm. I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe it's Lupe like waking up from this dream he had where he's, like maybe he'd watched the documentary and then just had this dream about, or maybe just thinking about, daydreaming about what it would have sounded like. But then even on track 3, Cake, which is, I've won a lot of things. I've done, but this one really takes the cake. I thought, oh, this is him celebrating his own just kind of fun idea of having this translation essentially. But even then, I was going through Genius yesterday, I think. And in the annotation, there's a YouTube snippet. It's Lupe Fiasco talking, oh, no. Here's track 3 where she has won her first battle rap and she's celebrating. So the whole thing is her, essentially. The whole thing is a story of her becoming a battle rapper, making her battle rap album. And it's great, but I feel like that part, I just don't know enough about Lupe. I don't know enough about Amy Winehouse to really like understand that. But as I really took this idea and tried to comprehend it, and I listened to the album and think about it for a little bit, and then I'd listen to other stuff. I'd come back and listen to the album and think about it a little bit. Something that really grew on me that makes me essentially cherish this album is it's like it's Lupe reflecting on his own life, his own career, his own choices through the lens of the life that she had. There's questions in here about, essentially pondering not having a big crowd anymore. There's, what is it? I think it's Bigfoot, where it's this idea of putting on a show, but nobody shows up, and is trying to contend with that, and then thinking, well, let's find the positive. Now it will be more intimate, and maybe that's better. And you can take that in comparison to, the just strictly in numbers, because I don't know all the sales and all that other stuff. But if you just go off of streams, right? Amy Winehouse, huge. Lupe Fiasco, not as big. I think he's excellent, but just in terms of numbers, fame, mass, reaching the masses, the audiences, and all that kind of stuff, there's a big contrast there. And I feel like this album, Samurai, and Lupe Fiasco kind of taking on the persona of if Amy Winehouse made a hip-hop album, what would she have felt like? How scary would that have been for her? How much doubt would have gone through her head? How much would her fans have reacted in backlash to what this was, because it's not what you're supposed to do? I feel like these questions of the art that you're supposed to make, the fan size that you're supposed to have, the number of people you're supposed to reach, how you're supposed to... I feel like all of that is just spun up in this incredibly intricate, in how subtle it is, web of ideas. And one thing I talk about every now and then, hasn't come up really recently, but it's come up before on other albums, of just the idea of doubt, and what a heavy burden doubt can be. How easy it is for doubt to sneak in and just infect everything that you do. Because the tricky thing with doubt is typically, even though it's in our head, typically it is based off of kind of reason, reality. Like, you don't doubt that you're going to stay stuck to the earth. You don't have this concern, I'm just going to fly off it. And no, we know, doubt acknowledges the fact that gravity exists and it will hold us to the ground. Doubt is so sinister because it just comes in with these ideas that are plausible. And it comes in, sometimes too, it's coupled with comparison, which I firmly agree with the statement that comparison is the thief of all joy. Imagine yourself, you're this artist, and you're making music that you care about. Mumble rap, he touches on a little bit. There's another, I think it's Palaces. Bigfoot kind of touches on it too. Just the idea of, here I am pursuing what I care about in the way I think it should be done. Lupe is so well known for his writing and his rapping and his schemes and the complexity and the double meanings, triple meanings, all that kind of stuff, right? And he does that very, very well, almost too well sometimes, right? Like sometimes it's just right over the old head of everybody. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? And this is something I love about Doom too, just the idea of, I'm going to pursue this art the way I'm the most passionate about it, the way I feel it should be addressed. But then when you do that and it doesn't blow up, here comes doubt. Here comes doubt to go, maybe your ideas are wrong. Maybe your ideas aren't that good. Maybe this passion that you have inside of you actually isn't true. And the people who are blowing up, those are the ones that are doing it. Sinister. But if you take that same idea and then push it into another realm, somebody else who was huge, like Amy Winehouse, somebody else who was just buried, drowning in fame, fans, numbers, sales, award, all that stuff. And then you let that, essentially that idea reflect and bounce back off of that other entity, which is, I feel like that's what this album is doing. You can almost go, okay. It's one of those things where sometimes there's the saying of be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. It's almost like this album is, what if I did get that? What if I did get that? And I can now experience this parallel of being a massive star and how that affects people. Not that he's necessarily addressing that in this, but the idea of Amy Winehouse talking about wanting to do a battle rap album, essentially. And would she even be allowed to do that? Even if the record company let her, would the fans allow it, you know? And I saw, I think it was the thing on Mick Jenkins recently, today actually, of being smaller and being independent and being free to do what you want to do as an artist, and how like relieving that is, how exciting that is, because you can literally do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about all these other elements of pressure from the record company, pressure from the fans, expectations, all this kind of stuff. So Samurai to me is really a fascinating exercise that I feel I'm experiencing in terms of an artist, because Lupe Fiasco is getting a little older. I don't think that his career is done. He's probably going to keep making music, hopefully for a long time, because he does a great job of it. And with the way things are these days in terms of distribution, it's probably a lot easier to just make music on the side and kick it out every now and then. You don't need to have a big, massive record contract to keep making music. To me, this album feels like an exercise of someone who's questioning the art that they've made with this sinister, just a hint of doubt, and maybe almost going, well, what if I did do it wrong? What if I had gone this way? And then instead of getting wrapped up in that, no, I'm going to put myself in this other person's shoes. I'm going to put myself in the shoes of someone who was on the other side of that fence, where that greener pasture, the bigger numbers and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to look at my decisions, and then I'm going to look at my art and what I've been allowed to do and what I've been able to do and what my fans have enjoyed. And then I'm going to take in my decisions. That's what I get from this album. And it being called Samurai, I mean, obviously it's on the voicemail, but Samurai, that whole element, and this is what was so great about Professor Sky's thing. He was going to like deep dive into samurais. He may have done it in the video. I didn't watch the whole thing, but like he was holding up pictures and shit of samurai. It's like, oh God, he was going to go all in on the concept of samurai. Because even, I don't know, I know superficial amounts of information about samurais, but just the idea of this person in service to this idea or this lord and you die for it type of a thing. If you take that concept and put it into art, in terms of the art that you're making, standing for that, living or dying on that hill, it's fascinating. It's really fascinating. How long did I talk for? 13 and a half. All right, good. That was a good rant. Good rant. It's not really much of an album review in a conventional sense, I suppose. Although none of this really is. Honestly, I'm not a huge review person overall, especially with music. Like, just listen to it. It doesn't really take anything to listen to music these days. Just sit down with it and see if you like it or not. But man, this is a cool project. And of course, I haven't said anything fucking 1 second about the production. Production's cool. I mean, it's just, I love it. I really do love it. It's fascinating. And I'm so glad I accidentally found out about the Amy Winehouse thing and that I could see it, how it's intended to be interpreted. Because I feel like without that, this album doesn't land. Kind of like, beginning of the year 2093 by Yeet. There are people who weren't into it, and that's a whole other thing, right? Because I think a lot of people weren't into it because of the production. But there are also people who are like, I don't get it. Like, why are people so into it? You have to understand the concept of 2093 being about getting sober and all these different voices being internal thoughts in his own mind, arguing amongst themselves, and how it's just incredible, in my opinion. I thought that was a great album. And Samurai lands in the same way. Like, I feel like it doesn't really hit unless you just got to let it breathe. It's almost like a wine. You can't just chug it and then go, okay, now what? You know, like, no, you really got to let it sit and breathe and explore what Lupe is exploring through Amy Winehouse as a power. It's cool. It's cool. Okay. All right. That's a good ramble. Good long ramble. I liked it. And there's my official review.